Chicken McNuggets for just $9.95 every day.
Lacey, 2 weeks in a row, just kind of getting smacked around a bit. Killed nearly as hard as I was just then by my boy Jake.
Yeah, Jake's pretty savage.
That was cold.
You wouldn't expect that from Jake, but he's actually he's real. He can hit you where it hurts.
Because we were having some good sort of like yes and.
Yeah.
You know, he knew where we were going and we'd throw it back. And then that was just like a cold shutdown.
He's definitely the best actor on Order.
Yeah,
One thing I will...
Is that why you picked him for the TFT thing?
No, I didn't pick him at all. I have nothing to do with
Not you,
content.
but like Order in general.
Michi? You'd have to ask Michi.
All right, Mitch, I'm asking you. We're not
Getting
reading
word,
his
he
reply.
said yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
And he'll also be at MEO on the couch with Radair
that's
giving
so
out the medal,
interesting.
which
Oh,
I
fantastic.
didn't actually know was happening.
Amazing.
That's crazy.
We're going to need a bigger suspended couch. Order, well done.
Thank you.
That was, you said you were going to smash him, you smashed him.
Yeah, and I think people wouldn't have expected us to play that way, is what I will say. Like, that is a very different kind of order. Bryce kind of hit it on the cast. I can't speak for some reason. On the cast, that was a much quicker composition. They needed to like be able to, win a couple of lanes in that game, which Order don't normally play. And it was much more of a composition that if you come into Order, you're in trouble versus Order likes to play a lot of these go forward compositions, right? So I think a very subtle twist on something and, came up the goods.
Yeah, I think that was actually a very well played game by Order. On the contrary, of course, I don't want to speak too much about Legacy, but they felt very defeated from their first gank. Like, they tried bot lane, didn't work, they lost, so they just legitimately sprinted it down top lane afterwards to see if they could make it happen into a Cassiopeia, and then realistically it was lights out.
And of all the lanes to go towards with your 2 melee champions traveling top speed, the Cassiopeia one, that's a reportable offense.
I'm laughing at the fact that Bryce just choked on his own tongue and
left.
then like stumbled out of the room, like collapsed into the door as it opened
Well,
up.
I couldn't speak, and then we kind of made awkward eye contact, and then he just started coughing.
Yeah.
It's
Jesus, Bryce.
yeah,
It's been a very strange day. And this is like one of those days that like, you're not sure whether you actually woke up.
Yeah. Well, like we said, I'm feeling jet lagged, I guess. I don't actually know what time it is because normally we start at 4, the games start. I know that it's kind of like an hour roughly between each one, and then we've got MPL, and we're kind of done at like 9:30 or so, 9:30. And right now I'm like, I don't actually know what time it is. It feels like it should be 5:30. It's actually 8:55. We don't have MPL after this.
It's been weird.
That's about it, really.
We
But,
started
like,
an
it's
hour
still-
early, and we're going to finish on time.
No, we
No,
started an hour late.
it started an hour late, and
Yeah.
you're going to finish on time.
Because we're professionals. Jake.
Of
Jake.
all the things I would call us today,
Jake.
entertaining, yes. Good looking.
Yeah.
Very good at our job.
Hell yeah.
Underpaid, for sure, producers.
sure.
Professional?
No, probably not.
Maybe not.
Probably not.
Add like 0.4, certainly.
Prepared, definitely, as well.
Are you good?
You okay?
All right, big thumbs up from B.
Big thumbs up. That was hella embarrassing. And we recounted the whole thing. Okay, so we got some more time to fill. So I'm just going to go through the suggestions of things that we could have done today.
Okay, could have done,
And
but
we still can.
Okay, we're going to do something.
So we got a bunch of suggestions from Pulse IRL. Wonder who that could be. The first one, League Pictionary. And then he suggests After Hours Normal Pictionary. Is that, like, is After Hours, like, sexy Pictionary? Or is that just, like, after we finish
Is
your
this
suggesting?
referencing-
Yeah, I
normal
just mean
Pictionary?
like after our hours.
Yeah,
because
right.
like Pictionary can get pretty.
Is this referencing that we played Pictionary the other day?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I played Pictionary with Pulse the other day.
When the
How'd that
servers
go?
were down.
League servers went down in the middle of an ARAM that we were playing, so everyone that was in that ARAM decided to play Pictionary instead. And all I can say is no one in that lobby can draw at all, and it was amazing.
Well, I was going to say, if you say no one in this room can draw, I would like to point you towards the Atlas painting.
Yes, we can. We can't draw proportions, but we can draw.
I think that is, if you ever meet Atlas, that's pretty proportional. He is very
Was-
broad of shoulders.
Did he run into a witch who shrunk his head? I didn't realize. Pulse then also
It's a
suggested...
perspective issue. He's going like this.
Right, okay. Right.
Really
It's-
far back.
It's like how they made Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
Dunham35 then suggested blindfolded picture, which I'm into. Pulse then said we could all go out into the street and cast or analyze people living their lives. We could bring the couch
I've
too.
always wanted to do that. We had an
I love
idea
that.
years ago to do a caster rodeo
Yep.
where in the off season, and I don't know why this didn't happen because it's a great idea. And then another region snaked it. And I'm not going to point out the region because that would be unprofessional,
Well,
but I will
wasn't
give you
America.
the portion of the world that they come from.
Please.
Europe. So we said we were going to like cast OPL players just going about their mundane activities. So like Radier gets up in the morning, has a shower, Atlas would be in the shower casting him. Well, Dracos was coincidentally in a bath with
weird
Expeke,
coincidence.
but I'm sure that was unrelated and I hadn't discussed the idea with Dracos. And we're going to do that. We're going to go around and do a caster rodeo of casting everything and be like, this is what we get up to in the off season.
I like that. We should
I
do
thought it
that.
would have been funny.
We're going to take that idea. We're going to do that.
Good idea.
You then also suggested Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh.
could do
To which
that.
Osrich Spud said, I wanted to suggest this also, but then remember most people prep for hours for sessions rather than just make shit up on the spot.
Most hosts
do that
also
for a
prep for
living.
hours before they do their shows, but Nick somehow manages to come here and make shit up on the spot, so I'm sure you could do a D&D campaign.
Here's the thing. Most professional hosts prep for hours, but then know when to let loose. And tonight was one of those days. Could you run us through a scenario? Like, off the cuff?
Off the cuff? I've literally never DM'd before, but like I was prepping a session like a one shot. But I don't know.
Could you just give me like 60 seconds now?
No.
Okay,
We've all played before, though.
We
And
have all
what I will
played.
say
Yeah,
I've
is
played multiple
our
times.
DM put a lot of prep into it.
Yep.
And in the first session, we did the exact opposite thing. And the prep doesn't matter, so
yeah,
I don't
that's
think you
D&D.
need to prep as a DM.
You walk into a village. There's an old, decrepit ogre in the middle of the village town square, and he says, I've seen one like you around here before. I shrunk his head. What do you do?
I paint him.
Well played. There you go, Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, Defenstration said complain about the weather.
Yeah, we could do that. It's way too windy today. I almost blew away.
It's been my son nearly blew off our balcony. It was scary.
Oh.
No, not really. Like, don't call people. He was just playing on the balcony. It started getting really windy, and then he sort of walked around one of the benches, and the wind actually pushed the bench a little bit, so it moved it, and he couldn't get out from around it. And I'm sort of like trying to hang out like some towels and stuff, and I just hear Dada, Dada, and I turn around, and Bench's hair's whipping back, and he's trapped behind the bench, and he's like, help, help! And I'm like, no, my boy. So yeah, there you go. Pabu22 said, play Hangman. I got a whiteboard.
This is what teams do in their green rooms before they go on broadcast, by the way.
They play Hangman.
Because I always come into rooms on half-finished Hangman games.
Right.
Can I buy an A?
Are we going to take turns? How do we want to do this?
Go.
Can I get an E?
Can I get no?
We're just going to do every
Oh,
vowel.
What?
yeah, that's a tactic.
N. Following the tactic.
You?
Can I get a T?
Ooh.
I.
H. Do you want to have another crack? Bryce, give us a letter.
You already said N, right?
Yeah.
S. Oh no,
Oh no,
it's about time.
that you just did 2 lines at once.
No, that's the noose.
No, it's not.
Remove the head. M.
W.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh
Oh no!
no.
This is becoming too real for broadcast. I don't know if we can actually draw the completed thing. I'm sure this breaks some terms of service. Shit. M.
I just said M and he drew.
No!
Did you say M?
We're gonna die!
Are we going to put the letters that we said?
We've guessed M twice.
Let's give it a third turn. And see whether
Surely there'll be
No,
one.
I did not.
Where's Twitch chat? I want to.
Yeah, how's Twitch then?
What?
Let's get one for
No, look at your Twitch chat.
Could I steal
B.
a letter from Twitch chat? Or have they already
Oh.
guessed it?
How we? I have so many. I have no idea what this is.
Is it 1 word or 2 words?
2 words.
Yeah.
R.
Oh,
Oh,
thick
C.
bear. Ah.
Thick bear.
Nice.
We saved the OPL stream, ladies and gentlemen.
I Believe in You says rate Marvel movies in order of favorites.
Oh my god.
Let's just do top 3.
Sorry, I thought you were saying someone in Twitch chat said I believe in you.
Yeah, and I was going to say belief justified.
Oh,
And
right.
then I realized I was pointing at you awkwardly for no reason. Iron Man 1,
Yep.
Ragnarok.
Civil War.
I think Thor Ragnarok's the best.
Nah, Iron Man 1, Civil War, Homecoming.
Well, I would say Ragnarok number 1.
Yep.
Okay.
I really like the Iron Mans.
Yep.
I would say one of the original Iron Mans. And one of the Avengers. I forget its name.
The first one.
That'll do.
Yep.
Age of Ultron sucked, so not
So
that
bad.
one.
Not Age of Ultron.
The second everything sucked. Second Iron Man sucked. Second Avengers sucked. Second Thor sucked.
Wasn't
Ragnarok,
Captain America number 2 Civil War?
Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Homecoming.
Homecoming
This,
is lit.
I don't like superhero movies. Controversial opinion. So
How many-
I'd say like Homecoming, and then I've seen a bunch, but I don't really remember. I also saw Endgame before I
Iron
watched
Man
Infinity
1 was
War.
not a superhero movie. That's why it was the best one of them all.
Okay,
because,
Iron Man 1.
like-
Homecoming was good though.
Iron Man 1, like,
an Iron
so
Man
for the, like, there is a controversial opinion out of there, but the biggest mistake Marvel made was casting Tony Stark. Because
Yep.
once Robert Downey Jr. played Tony Stark, they can never, in our
Yeah.
generation, make another Iron Man movie.
No.
Because Robert Downey Jr. is Iron
perfect.
It
Man.
would be like
Because-
remaking Harry Potter and not casting me.
Yes. No, but like, so, and then that like justified his paycheck the whole way through.
Oh.
Like for some of the Avengers movies, he's getting paid like as much as the rest of the cast put together.
He got paid $3 million for 15 minutes in Spider-Man.
Yeah. There you go. So like that's how and the feeling of Iron Man 1
Yeah.
when like he's first making
The suit and stuff.
Yeah, that I have not got that feeling because that at the time was like groundbreaking. Like the feeling of like the technology that
Yep.
came in the Avengers film and all of the other Marvel films started in Iron Man 1. It really is for me one of the greatest movies. Like it goes into film territory to have this stupid conversation again.
Also, the the thing that a lot of people forget about Iron Man is that he was kind of like a B grade character in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he was significant in
Oh.
Marvel comics, like in some periods, but most of the time he wasn't up there with Thor, with Spider-Man,
Yeah.
you know, like that sort of level. Like he was that lower tier, which was why they were like, oh, we'll just take a punt on this character who most of the time you can't even see like his face and stuff. And if it doesn't work, then whatever. And then it did, and now Iron Man is like one of the most iconic. I would say one of the most iconic, like shapes.
It revolutionized the genre.
Yeah.
So what they'd figured out how to do dark superhero films after the Batmans were so successful.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
But there was a whole lot of chemistry about how to make like the superhero movies like for our generation. Because
Yep.
if you go back and watch the Supermans and the Spider-Mans, Supermans and the Batmans, they did not age well at all.
Not at all.
And then you watch the latest Spider-Mans and how many cracks they had at them, and they were all terrible.
Totally.
Like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man sucked.
Yep.
Weird skater Spider-Man,
Yep.
awful. Wasn't even Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't do that stuff. So like then they figured out how to do like the Avengers, which
Yeah.
was like a mix between like enough lightheartedness that it was still kids shows, like my nieces and nephews love it, but then enough seriousness that adults got it.
They nailed the formula. Speaking of nailing the formula, we got one more game tonight. The final game for the evening. It is Bombers versus AV. It's a big game for both teams involved. You have 10 seconds to give me your impressions each before we jump in.
I'm nervous.
Tommy might be the best player in the OPL, and that's saying something with how Quinny K is playing. So I think Ryoma in for a big performance, and they
Yeah.
still have Chippies playing mid lane, and this will be a real test for Chippies because Ryoma plays mid lane explosively, and mid lane being such a short lane, you can be way more aggressive in mid lane and not get punished for it. I reckon Tommy's going to put on a clinic.
Let's see if that clinic comes to pass and if Rusty's fear is justified or if they can take it to the Bombers. Let's head right into the Macca's Champ Select with Ejim and Pulse.
Oof, what a throw. Thank you. Let's get into Champions. Oh, what's going on?
Hello.
Yeah, Bombers and what was that? There's a lot of strangeness
caught
coming
me
from
by
the
surprise. I
right-hand
was like,
side
oh,
of this desk currently.
Is it us? It is us. Oh my god. Oh.
What
Yeah, it
hap-
is.
I need to ask you what happened earlier.
Oh, no.
'Cause
Literally.
before you were like saddling your chair, you sat down and then you just like spluttered and died and ran out the room. Like,
yeah,
what
no, I just choked on water. I looked at Jake and he made some weird face and then like it went down the wrong hole. And I was just like, I can't cough in this room
Yep.
because then like the viewers don't want to hear someone coughing. That's disgusting. So
That's
I tried to hit, I was being a nice guy and I held it in and then I ran out the door. and then I ran into a referee upon my exit, and he was just looking at me. He's just like, "What's going on?" And then I walked past Legacy, and I'm just like, oh, "I'm sorry," and then just like, "What's going on?" It just escalated.
It's like, do I need to inform someone? Is something going wrong in the caster room? No, we're fine, folks. And I'm glad you're fine as well, Legion.
Yeah,
I'm glad that I have a co-caster for this game.
All Gucci.
Bombers and Avant. Yeah, Rusty is saying he's nervous. Avant right here going into Bombers, who I think we've firmly said are a top 3 team now, at least.
Yeah.
Did drop a game last week, but in terms of just like overall trajectory and strength, very, very good. Nautilus Camille, Silas just running through his bands real quick from Bombers, Jace, Irelia, and Talia from Avant, and the first pick of Aatrox here from Bombers.
And already, I think a very smart draft here from Bombers. You think about like Chippies in the mid pool, Camille loses, she gets taken off the table. Yes, AV feel the need to ban the Jace and the Irelia. That's going to be there as well. But remember what Dragku, the new guy to this AV's lineup, played it 2 games in a row. It was the Aatrox. And very blindable champion. I think you were casting the game. It was this split where he was just slapping people in a 1 versus 2 underneath.
I mean, I cast every game in the split.
What, was it like this split or was it last
split?
Right.
But,
and like, so Mimic, very good Aatrox player,
1v3.
immediately, 1v3, takes Dragku off his comfort pick. Renekton may be the answer there, but yeah, this is good prep here.
Yeah, and at the same time, right, like Dragku has had kind of like a rough start, right? Because he goes into like Parbu, it's just like you immediately go into strong laners, and it was just like, oh, that's rough. Goes to Comfort, goes to like Aatrox.
Yeah, but even then, like he's had good laning phases, right? Like it's always, it's like the late game where he falters. It's like the Camille gets to split push against you. The Fiora does a similar thing. So yeah, like has laned very well.
It's funny because he was put in the same situation like both times, you know, bot fight, bot skirmish, and then top skirmish was identical game to game.
Yeah. But the rest of the draft coming very quickly as well. Cassio, we saw Order flex it everywhere, put it in the top side. I think it's potentially much more likely here to be in the hands of Shock. Remember, yes, this is their roster on paper, but in every single game we've seen, Gungkrab has been the support. Shock has been the AD carry, or at least that position there, and they play a lot of Cassio on the bottom side. Remember the first 3 games of the OPL when AV didn't have their bottom lane. Shock was down there rocking the Cassio, so it's not new to them, and I'm expecting him to be the Snake Lady in this one.
Yep, local bands of Azir, Rek'Sai here from Avant, and Bombers taking away the Corki. And it will be, Karma pickup, Renekton pickup with Yuumi and Vladimir on Bombers. And final pick of, final ban rather of Tristana.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I'm surprised at how little Trist we've seen today.
Yeah.
I believe we may have had one other game where it was banned, but nobody really willing to pick this one up. It does kind of skew things when a lot of teams are flexing blind picking Cassio. Like, it's not like blind Corki, blind Azir. Okay, those are the matchups that you want. It does get a little bit harder to slot her into a draft when other people go, like, more aggressive, like the Cassio. But, yeah, priority hasn't been all too high here.
Yeah, definitely been a little bit of a surprise. At the very least, I would have expected appearance rate to be higher. Gragas Yasuo just straight lock in here from the Bombers as well. Heard it from the couch, expecting Ryoma to be a big player in this game, as he always is. But with Yasuo, it's definitely going to be a composition centered around him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Does he lock in the Yasuo? Is it going to be mid lane? Or, like, they have the Vladimir as well. Yuumi and Vladimir would be, like, very safe. Double mage in the bottom side can allow you to kind of play outside of Cassio's range, because once you get into the Q step, the miasma, it does become difficult. So they certainly do have options. When you're locking it in like the Gragas, though, being able to have your jungle play around the mid portion of the map makes it significantly easier here. So if they do go for these champions locked in, it does make a lot of sense here for Bombers.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like, this is definitely an adaptation here. Like, Avant have been running Mage's bot lane for the last 3 games since Dragku has joined the roster. So Bombers also meeting with a Mage plus Yuumi is very interesting. And, yeah, we have these locked into the roles now with 5 seconds remaining in this champion select. So we have the full comp. So, yeah, we'll see how Avant does right here. First new champion getting to see here from Dragku in the form of the Renekton into Aatrox. Definitely see this as very much a bit of a skill matchup. I would give early advances to Renekton.
Yeah. Very likely gets to take like the press the attack if he wants it. No, the short trade certainly can favor him there. Has mobility to dodge around something like the Aatrox. But the big thing that I'm looking at this game is going to be that Gragas. Just by nature of like Yasuo Gragas being in the game, it does skew things quite a lot. So Wilder has been a big point of success here for Bombers over the course of the season. You jungler this split, and pressure is on here versus AV.
And as we get into our final game tonight, it will be Lucio, aka Soul Strikes, joining us. How are you today?
Not too bad.
Not too bad, not too bad. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird day for a lot of teams, a lot of players, and you know, all the flight malarkey.
Yeah, we got to Sydney we went to Wagga Wagga.
Wagga Wagga. I
Wagga
knew
Wagga.
it wasn't Canberra. I knew you went to somewhere else, but I
Yeah.
forgot the name.
But yeah, it was
Damn,
it was a bit of a
Wagga.
ride.
Yeah,
That's like, isn't like, sorry to derail the interview, but isn't it like rural Victoria, not Victoria, like rural Australia?
we
What?
don't know.
That's crazy. Sorry.
Well, I'm glad you made it here today, and yeah, talk to us about this draft right here, and specifically like a bottom lane. You went for Mage Yuumi into Mage bottom lane as well from AV, what have been running for the last couple of games. Like, explain why you went for this versus like traditional AD carry.
So we had a lot of like Vladimir bans and Yuumi bans for the past record, and I think this game we should be able to show why teams should fear Vladimir Yuumi.
And how much does that come into play in terms of like thinking about the rest of the season? You're going into Super Week, you have more games, then potentially Gauntlet finals. In terms of just you want to show the other teams in the OPL, not just what they see in scrims, like on stage we can perform on this stuff that does get banned away. Is that super important for you guys?
Yeah, we always have something prepared on like specific teams, and I believe like going into like Super Week, I'm confident that we will be able to secure a Gauntlet playoff.
Now, where do you place Bombers right now? Because, like, not in terms of standings, but, like, if you're just looking at the teams, like, first, second, because we definitely see you as, like, a top 3 team, right? Where would you place yourself?
I would consider ourselves, as, like, Mammoth and Chief. We're all relatively, it depends on the game day, and I definitely think, like, our early game has edge over those two teams, but it's just our mid-game and like late game, communication even, could be lacking. So that's something that we could be fixing on.
Yeah, okay. And last question from me specifically, coming into this one, we've seen Dragku on AV's side, like double Aatrox games. Was this a prepared plan to kind of attack the substitute coming in here? First pick Aatrox, take him off the comfort, hasn't played anything else on stage as of yet?
Yeah, that's one of our reason why we first pick Aatrox, and I like to look at other region, and NA really like Aatrox first pick, and bit Dokla he popped off on Aatrox, so Aatrox still a strong pick, and I definitely think Mimic has shown a lot of mastery on Aatrox, and it's just a really comfort pick on him.
Cool. Well, yeah, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to let you go, and best luck in the game.
All right, cheers.
Because he kind of hit on it, but was Mimic? I believe Mimic was the first one to play, or it was BioPanther. Reworked at Rift Rivals, like the reworked Aatrox, but I remember behind the scenes, like stepping into the Oceania green room, all 3 teams at that tournament were playing out of the same space, and you can kind of walk around, and I saw like Mimic multiple solo queue games just popping off on the pick. So yeah, long-time Aatrox player, makes a lot of sense to take that one away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, like I definitely associate Mimic with Aatrox this split specifically, you know, because you know, this is my first split in the OPL, and like when I look at Mimic and like what he's managed to achieve, I do think back to like that 1v3 like straight up outplay. Like these are moments that define players, at least in like a caster's eyes and the viewer's eyes. Now looking towards his bottom lane, Shock and Gunkrab once again in his 2 versus 2, and you know I'm excited to see what Luch has to offer on this Vladimir, because you know like Soulstrike was literally saying like he's beating the ban champion against him. It was open this game, and they want to show why it's a ban-worthy champion. Yeah,
and you have to remember Luch's this split transition from mid lane to AD carry down here, so definitely has a good propensity to pick up the mages, so it does make a lot of sense. It is a tough matchup. You can see right now there's just garbage flying everywhere from Gunkrab and Shock. They just hit an ability, they get to go forwards, and Luch is just desperately trying to sustain through it as much as possible. Vladimir has a significant amount, but you can see Rogue's tiny little mana bar has used basically all of that pool, just whacking the E button over and over again. That's very low.
Ooh, goes for the flash here. Not tanking the tower just yet, and Luch just walking back towards this one, but yeah, has to flash away. Not sure if that would have killed, but it was really just like a question mark from everybody whether that AoE off the minions would kill him. So I respect the flash.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where Luch... Oh, okay, hold that.
Flag drag, and we'll be forcing a flash from Mimic.
Yeah, so double side lane's actually getting punished here for AV. Let's hit on what happened bottom side, right? Like, Luch has the flash and Rogue has the heal, so there's that little bit of a disconnect where it's like, I know, like, with heal I can live, yes, but if it lands, you don't pop the button in time with your duo partner down there, can be disastrous, and in the end it hit a minion. So nobody had to use anything, but it's one of those scary scenarios that Gunkrab looked like he made a bit of an error, but forces it afterwards, gets the flash trade back and an extra summoner to boot, so good start here from AV.
Yeah, absolutely, and I like that there's a big proactivity in the early game, and actually something is coming of it for AV, because when I look at Bombers, like, strong early game, even said just by Soul Strikes like a couple seconds ago, like, thinks that has the strongest early game versus Mammoth, and specifically Chiefs is an interesting statement to make, right? So the fact that AV is able to do something in the laning phase, I think, is a big deal for this matchup. As Miro does get himself caught out on vision there, as Wilder will just come in, Scry's Bloom, and walk away.
And I think that's going to have to be something that we track heading on into Super Week next week, right? Like, Chiefs and Bombers going to be playing on the second day there, potentially the last game for both of them. Yeah, it will be. So, yeah, in terms of who has the better early game, we won't find out till their last game of the split. And it is definitely a bold call, right? Like, Chiefs have just been dominating. You saw, like, dives level 2, level 3 in the bottom side versus Mammoth. Bombers certainly no slouches, but you're going to have to see them prove it in this one.
I just like that statements like this get made, I think, like, every week pretty much by Lucio, but he says it in the most neutral tone. And you, like, unless you're actually, like, hard listening to what he's saying, you don't realize he's just made a super controversial statement.
That's super cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, I love
respect
it. Absolutely. Not afraid to put himself out there. And to be honest, Bombers have definitely lived up to everything that has been said, about this team. So can definitely go for those statements. And Chippy's in this mid lane up against Yasuo, top lane there. Finding Dragku going back to tower. I feel like maybe we could have just traded back there, but still, Mimic will get a good trade.
Maybe you already burned a couple of buttons, not too sure.
Ooh, actually went for first back Kindle Gem and boots. This, definitely signals like not giving up lane, but like not looking for Trace and not looking for win.
Yeah, potentially. Like, if you look at the game plan, maybe Renekton, like Jake was saying very earlier on in the night, that being able to play around the bottom side like Renekton is fine. He scales fine up there, so you can kind of put him on an island if you want. And when you take a look at the Bombers, they play primarily through the top side of the map. So if you're AV, you lock down a mage on the bottom side in shock. This is a comfortable matchup. And you can throw your pressure towards the Cassio, then that could be a good time. So maybe just looking at it, like, role player wants to be like, hey, I want to be undiveable. Yes, I may not trade, but you won't be able to kill me. And it could just be the game plan coming to fruition here from Avant.
And top lane, though, are looking for a gank. Dragku already low, has the dominance running, but has the rage building up as well. Miro comes immediately in with the ultimate Cataclysm, locking him in place, jumps over the wall, flag drag to follow. Very clean from Miro.
Yeah, and the flash was burnt significantly earlier, only about a minute off the cooldown, so Mimic just caught napping up there. No vision, saw nothing, and Miro gets the flank. So just as I say, maybe throw your pressure bot side. They turn it on its head, and first blood goes to the jungler of AV.
Yeah, very nice, and just still adding to the same narrative of a good early game here from AV. Of all the things very important here into Bombers. Shock looking for this just micro invade, placing down some vision. Actually, a lot of deep vision here from AV. Look at that bottom side, lit up like a Christmas tree.
And that's so weird, given that they just ganked top lane.
Yeah,
like, Jarvan goes up there. This is just the lanes warding for themselves. Of course, reset comes out from the Yasuo. So Chippy's has had a bit of time in the mid lane, built himself up. I was going to say a CS lead, but just gets equalized the way, basically even there. But yeah, very, very far forward pink ward. The one placed just then in the golems there for Cassio. They're going to know exactly what's going on in Wilder's jungler. Okay.
Oh, wow. Shock low. Going to be traded back there towards the bottom lane there from Bombers. However, it was Yuumi picking up the kill. Wilder trying to get on top of Gunkrab, has used the body slam already, but juking into the brush. Gunkrab still trying to walk back to the tower, flashes the ultimate and rides the wave.
And with a keen eye, you'll see that that flash genuinely just came off cooldown. Didn't have ulti, so no Mantra W for the heal, and buys enough time the second it is available. Gunkrab flashes over the cask and gets himself to safety. So all in all, it just ends up being the 1-for-1 trade in the bottom side, and we see how it starts off.
Starts off in this one. Gets a slow one to Luch. Okay, detaches. And Shock the follow-up. Good Yuumi auto.
Yeah. Gets it on double, but the Ignite ticking, no sustain for the Vladimir, and an auto attack is going to clean it up for Rogue, so... Mages just kill each other. Wilder's looking to secure this one, but look at the cooldown ticking in the bottom bar. Barely not up there. Flash now comes available just as the cask leaves Gragas' hands.
That's crazy.
Flash pops up and he's like, "Thank you, Lord." Flies back into the turret. Damn, that was timing and a half.
That was timing, yeah. Feels good. Gets out of that one alive, but bottom lane, Luch having a hard time. You know, this Cassiopeia actually just feels like quite a bad matchup into this Vladimir right now. Has opened up a bit of a CS lead, obviously not like gigantic, able to farm pretty well underneath tower here, Luch. And we'll get that cannon as well.
Yeah.
So while they are pushing in a lot, the Vladimir is still accruing gold.
The big news story is that they've done it in isolation, though. Like we were saying, maybe they want to throw Jarvan down here. No, he's just topside, stealing away a blue buff right now. Other gank has gone towards the top lane as well. This is almost entirely, even with enemy jungle pressure, just the 2 versus 2 doing work down there. So basically 2 plates gone. The last, an auto attack from a creep is going to take that one down. So bottom side of the map, doing the goods here for AV, and I feel like the man on your screen right now, Jake made the bold claim, like Ryoma may just be able to overpower Chippies in this matchup, and Gragas Yasuo, you have to look towards the duo. Basically, nothing has happened here, and Chippies is just sitting pretty on the Jax.
Yeah, nothing is a win, to be honest, if you're looking towards AV right here. And Jax is farming on up. You know, this will be a relatively old Triforce, probably looking at 13-14 minutes here in the mid lane without boots. So overall, first Infernal also going over to AV while all that was happening. Miro also looking towards Herald. Mimic's going to come down and see him. I'm not going to get this one for free, but, you know, I appreciate the attempt at just looking towards Herald right there as Wilder's on his way to the bottom lane. Yuumi ultimates onto Golden Crab, gets the lockdown, Hemo Plague follow-up. Combo should be enough to finish him up here, just waiting on the cooldowns here from Luch. So Golden Crab is still alive. I think he mantra W, and now he's just on the run through the jungle. Wilder is trying to cut off the top side, but that Yuumi Q does connect. But he's still running.
He's just running
he's
in the mid lane.
And mid lane, Ryoma caught out best the Cataclysm into kill. Good Crab is still alive. Forces the flash from Wilder to finally kill him.
And that's going to be a TP into the Rift Herald pit immediately from Shock. We didn't see it just off the side of the screen, but he flashed away from the cask. It wasn't the Karma this time, it was the Cassio. And AV making very proactive plays here. This is very quick League of Legends. 2 fights happen at exactly the same time, and they're already on the map for an objective.
Yep, moving towards this Herald now as well. And AV, this is a strong early game indeed. Definitely far detached from what we saw last week, to be honest. And yeah, we're going to have Aatrox recalling here.
And the best thing about this for AV fans is it's not just like Herder, we outplayed them in the lane matchups, right? Like, they are playing well individually, but that map flip, honestly, super smart. Jax gets the reset, he goes top, looking to catch a wave, has the cheeky early base there, only 4 seconds as to 8, so he's going to get a Triforce, get back to mid lane. Yep. Ganking onto the Yasuo, setting him behind is, like, we've all felt it, you know what I mean? It's Yasuo on your team that can't really look for fights. He's one of those champions that...
My Yasuo versus the Yasuo
genuinely, right? Like, you never want my Yasuo. He's a champion that has to play in the wave. He has to fight to be able to use his buttons, and if you fall too far behind, it can be a roughie, so... AV, almost a 2,000, 1.5k gold lead here, and yeah, strong start.
No, I agree. And the fact that Wilder had to burn his flash to kill a running Karma as well, like, losing that, you know, like, a body slam flash is like a big deal for Gragas as well as we approach, you know, potential skirmishes and fights. So, yeah, I mean, this is just those small micro plays starting to add up now.
And it was one of those situations where Bombers wanted everything and ended up getting nothing. They gank bottom lane, and Gragas is like, okay, Karma will die. Yes, she's got no flash. We've already locked her down with Yuumi ulti. I'll chuck my abilities at the Cassio, and then Shock flashes, so he's fine. Mantra W comes through, and on a merry chase goes Gun Crab, buys time for the rest of the team, and the punish was pretty big there. You can see the map flip is coming out. Ryoma's been deployed in the side lane. Another cask flashed.
Yeah, knocks them out of Mimic's Infernal Chains. But in the end, we'll just disengage from this one, and we're going back to... probably a bit more equilibrium, I would say. Go back to lanes, start farming up. We're going to see Ryoma move to the top lane here as we have the duo lane in the mid, and then Mimic moves to the bottom lane for Bombers.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where there's really not a winning scenario currently for the Bombers. Like, in isolation, I like this flip. Put your Vladimir that's struggling in a smaller lane. Cassio won't be able to bully you because she doesn't have as much space down there, and junglers. Wilder has been very active this game. Like, he is threatening for a Cassio, especially with no flash, but given that you opt in for this like 1-3-1 scenario, you're a Yasuo, no items into a Shojin Renekton. Mimic down here is just sitting on longswords and components into an already Triforce Jax, so Rift Herald's going to get popped, yes, after plating, but this turret will be dead to rights, and AV really controlling the map in this one.
Yeah, we'll see if they can keep up this momentum, because this is an entirely new look for a new lineup as well, right? Like it feels like we're looking at a team like, you know, a phoenix rising from the ashes essentially, and then seeing what we get, because they feel like the identity of AV is shifting as we move towards these final weeks of play, which is a very unique storyline for this entire league, you know?
Absolutely, because when you look at the standings, like think about the games we saw today. We started off where AV and Dial was both on 8 points, and then Gravitas and Order, their seasons rely on like breaking that barrier, either overtaking one of them, and if AV pick up a victory here and upset over the Bombers, it makes it just that little bit harder, so every single game is very important in terms of the end of season standings for AV in terms of cementing themselves, for everybody else in terms of catching them, and Bombers just want to cement themselves as like the 3rd place currently, right? If they fall, if they start losing games to AV, there's only a 1-point difference between the two, so yeah, this is a big matchup between these guys.
Absolutely. Yumi ultimate onto the mid lane, locks down the Cassiopeia, looks for the ultimate, but he's already dead, and Gunkrab, the view's not going to save him this time. Draku comes into the mid lane here with Chippies, but a little too late to the play, and that will be 2 kills to Bombers.
Yeah, second time is the charm. This time, no flashes to get themselves out of the CC, and they start it off beautifully. Yumi ulti over 2. Cask able to clean up the kill, and the Cassio Kamaduri that's been doing so much work gets caught.
Yeah, Miru finding Ryoma right here, and will just knock him down within the ultimate. And Ryoma just kind of, slumping back in the seat there. Feels like Bombers just a little off their game.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for Bombers this game is how they react to this situation. A lot of Bombers' victories are topside. Mimic Wilder duo, Tommy popping off in the mid lane, and this is really a 0-2 Yasuo. Aatrox is behind. Gragas has done a lot, but not a lot has landed, and a lot of the pressure is going to be on Luch and Rogue to lift this game up here for the Bombers. The gold lead still extending, 2.5k here for AV, so 1.5 rather. So it is a different style that they will have to overcome to get a victory.
That being said, this isn't a comp that just falls over and dies once it hits 20 minutes, you know? It's just like, oh, well, we, you know, lose by 15 and the game's over. It's you know, this is a Vladimir who will get very, very big, and mid-game Yasuo is nothing to,
even late-game Yasuo, like the amount of shred on that guy, he gets into a backline, and the carry's not that mobile when you're speaking about like a Cassio. If Yasuo is on top of you, you have one miasma. Yeah. And it better be good, right? Like, I guess in terms of like Cassio interacting with Yasuo, 914 changes. The fact that you no longer have like a minimum cast range on the miasma. Probably very, very good situation here for Shock, but still is a hard one to manage. You can see Bombers have an idea where they are, but they do lack the vision currently.
Yeah, always those dream, you know, 5-man Yasuo ultimates into just one team fight instantly. That's always a possibility. And yeah, AV, that being said, still have the upper hand here though. Mirror, flag drag over the wall as Luch was coming in and Wilder was collapsing. But we're about 80 minutes into this one. Next round's going to be another Infernal in around 4 minutes from now. Bombers did manage to pick up the Cloud in the interim. And mid lane now being pushed in as well. Bit of a standoff here, just fighting over vision. Bombers seem to have gotten most of it down upper river right now, as Chippies is now rotating back towards the mid lane, has pushed in bottom lane all the way to inner turret, which will collect.
Yeah, and you kind of look at this situation and it's like, how did Bombers just wrestle back that control? AV have been winning like the fights, they have their item spikes, but they really want to play the side lanes and open things up for Chippies on the Jax. Engage range for a Gragas Yasuo composition is just so enormous, right? Like, you can just fling an ulti at a Cassio, and if you don't flash it, then you die. So it's very non-committal here for the Bombers, so they just kind of step up into the river, and the fact that they are even in the area, AV do choose to concede right now. No real objective up there, Baron not for another minute. And even then, I doubt this is going to be a very early Baron start game from the Bombers. AV, yes, if they can get access, they have a Cassio, but not a ton of damage to take that one down.
Gunkrab jumps over the wall, and he's just instantly dead. The burst out there from Luch and Wilder is massive.
Yeah. And it was honestly mostly Wilder. It was like a QE combo from Luch, blew nothing, no ulti used whatsoever, and working on the Zhonya's, Wilder is absolutely popping off. A bunch of his casks have been flashed, but when they get thrown from fog, makes it infinitely harder, and Gunkrab just gets one tap.
Yeah, I mean, Gragas was the recipient of a lot of the early gold in terms of kills and assists, and also farm, to be honest. So in a pretty nice place right now. On the opposite side, though, I'm actually looking towards Renekton items because we checked in with a Kindle Gem, went into Tabbies, and then hard pivoted to Shojin first. I mean, like, kind of indicates to me it's just like our team is winning Snowball, get into a skirmish, and this is way more efficient early game plus dominance, right? Like, you have the built-in tankiness, so, like, you have the ability to, like, take over a fight.
Yeah, certainly the case, right? And sitting on a second Kindle Gem. Interesting to see how we progress, but yeah, it's kind of curious. We've now kind of spiked in the hands of the Aatrox, was just sitting on the Caulfield's Hammer for a very long time, but completes the Black Cleaver, so just sitting on the CDR and now is chilling. 20 minutes has hit the clock though, so AV are like, yep, okay, we'll have some Baron control, please. Let's setting up on the top side. And other key items completed. Jarvan now has that effective tankiness. The stats aren't the best, but go into the back line and have a couple of seconds of I am invincible with a gargoyle must feel good.
For sure, not just getting instantly blown up. But yeah, very much going for the tank Jarvan here instead of the full AD Guardian Angel jump in, assassinate, die yourself, and yeah, hope that the rest of the fight goes well for your team.
I mean, they definitely have enough damage.
Yes.
Cassio, Jax, Renekton, damage aplenty, and you can probably say the same thing on the other side, but Wilder is going for the new age Gragas. He definitely hurts. It is kind of scarier to face check any vision. We saw what happened to Guncrab before. Shock isn't that much tankier, right? Like Chippy's even then, like yes, has a Triforce, is working on his Shojin, has the Kindle Gem, but only really has HP. So a bunch of these members, bar the Jarvan rather, are actually one-shottable, and he's kind of alluding to this sort of stalemate, right? Like Chippy's goes back. It's a big base, so maybe now in the side lane does have enough itemization to be able to start cracking turrets, but this is a much slower game than we saw with Order and Legacy here between these two.
I reckon it's going to heat up shortly, though. 15 seconds to Inferno, and Vision has already been a micro-objective these teams have been fighting over. Bombers are getting control of the area, but Dragu pushing through this jungle entrance right now. Chippy's jumps back towards him. Good Crab now split from the team. Shock stepping up as well. Throws up the Miasma and basically just harassing them down as Bombers are looking towards these wards.
Yeah, and nobody cares about the side lanes. They're just sitting basically even. Top lane will crash into AV's turret, but the cost of a TP, the couple of seconds it takes to land, may be enough to lose you a fight. So all 10 members on your screen right now, Bombers, have vision control. They have supremacy, and the Dragon started up. Yeah,
Execution is also picked by Dragu. This is a big spike here for AV in terms of items. Double Shojin as well as they step up to the pit. 1500 left on Dragon, trying to get into this one. Secured by the Gragas, but goes for the fight. Triple. Last breath comes in from the Yasuo, and Dragu trading off with Ryoma in the backline. But meanwhile, loses an ally in the fray. Ryoma hops the wall, has Yuumi on him, jumps back into the fight. And AV chased down here by the Aatrox, and 3 kills over to Bombers. Just destroy Avant. Shock getting chased underneath tower. Comet comes in, and Rogue will get the 4th kill of the fight.
And Bombers just walked away with everything. 1 member left standing, and it's a 0-3 Karma support. Can do nothing to dissuade Bombers away from the Baron buff. That's 4 kills, an Infernal Dragon, and straight into the pit here topside.
When it comes down to it, you put them in a clutch situation, and Bombers will come up trumps. 4 kills, as you said, plus Infernal into an uncontested Baron. And Bombers, after that early game, swing heavily into the lead now. This will be at least a 4,000 gold lead.
Yeah, monumental play. And to think it was off the back end of like a 0-2 Yasuo getting his own knock-up in the fight, right? Like, I'm sure we'll take another look at what exactly happened, but AV, the contest just a little bit too late. Jarvan goes for the steal, but too late to smite it. The Dragon already dies, and just kind of locked in there. And this was the knock-up. Gragas ulti is already gone. Ryoma does all the work, and then Vlad on the backside with the Yuumi is absolutely fine. Multiple members commit, and Rogue goes flying over the wall in the back end. Mimic just untouched, dealing with the carries. And I said it earlier, once you get inside the Cassio's range and Miasma is down, she really has a bit of a struggle dealing with you in this melee composition. Bombers put together, they find the fight, and huge swing.
Yeah, I mean, off of that initial last breath, yes, it was, you know, obviously sick coming out from Ryoma, but at the same time, like, Jarvan ultimate caught 3 or maybe even 4 right there with Cassiopeia sitting outside. You know, like, in that situation, you're expecting, like, she just hits all her buttons and then everybody dies, but not the case as Chippy's under attack, dodges out the cast, dodges literally everything in top lane from Ryoma and Wilder.
And just staunches forward as well. He's like, all right, what more you got? Steps up to the plate, and Bombers walk away. Preemptive TP from Drag, who in every other scenario, that's a good play. Like, the dive is on, things are happening, but Chippy's with a fancy feat, dances out of everything and buys them some time.
you've got to question, does it get better in a fight for Avant than that, right? Like in terms of setup and in terms of spikes, like you had double Shojin going with Executioner's Calling picked up as well pre-fight to go into, healing cut into a lot of crucial members. And I mean, not the case, like a loss in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely right now. You can see the concede is in the hands of the top side. AV have nothing to do with defending that one. Just looking to catch the other waves. Weird deploy here with Dragku actually taking a blue buff, I believe. Knows that Bombers will rotate down here soon, but actually it's going to reset or not be started at all. Chippy's being chased into literal Narnia.
Yeah, Chippies is very good at running though, and very good at dodging, so won't be able to get away from this one. Mid lane pushing in this wave. Miasma comes out, we'll be able to clear this one.
Yeah, 3 abilities try to pop the Banshees, but Shock holds onto it for the time being. Yuumi Q will be the one, but very important cooldown right now. And the flank from Gragas, they know he stepped into the bush. You can see the ward just underneath the Bombers logo, top left, but don't actually have vision of him. And Water incredibly scary at this stage. Zonya's completed, but doesn't have the flash.
Yeah, but it's still threatening enough to go up to mid lane inhibitor turret without AV really contesting this one, stepping up, seeing an opportunity if they can, but inhibitor is the objective. Chippy stepping forwards is enough for them to reconsider, wait for this wave to come in, but the cannon minion itself is actually slowly chipping away at this one, and Bombers will go right down the mid lane, pick up the inhibitor. 26 minutes in, another minute until Dragon and Bombers. That's a big power play.
Yeah, and the kills basically doubled at that Dragon play, right? Like the gold lead has boomed out of nowhere. This was going to be like, this was a good start from AV. They had the early gold lead, and
I mean, it was a 7-8k swing.
Yeah, huge. And immediately breaking the base, like a 26-minute like Baron into inhib break is fairly quick territory, right? Almost found himself in between multiple AV members here. TP comes through.
Looking for a potential fight right here in this 1v1, but about to heat up right here. Comes in with the last breath, dodging out of here. Flag drag is good from the Jarvan. Now Mimic under attack, comes in with a redemption. Wilder here with a potential disengage, finds Dragku. Chippy's knocked back in this one. Mimic turns around, looking to put a little bit more damage out. And here comes Luch as well with Yuumi attached. Comes in with the ultimate, but this is still a 3 versus 5.
Yeah.
Thought for a second Luch was going to go in with that Tides of Blood, but opts out.
Yeah, tentative finger over the flash button and doesn't pull the trigger in the end. Wilder actually has kill threat here with the Yuumi, but numbers advantage still in the favor of AV. 2 members dead from Bombers, and they're actually chasing them into enemy territory, just trying to dissuade the reset. You can see Shock wants to get towards the Infernal Dragon, spawning right now, but Wilder just shepherding him all the way.
This has been like a solid 40 seconds of Wilder maybe having kill threat on like 2 different targets with like flash right there. If he had ultimate 100% he was going in. Luch looking towards Shock, flashes forwards, looks for the nuke, dodges out the petrifying gaze. Gunkrab jumps forwards, but he is very squishy. Flag drag out from Miru, looking for the kill onto Luch, but Chuck doesn't want in on this one, and Chippies and Dragku only just arriving to the fight. Move onto Dragon. This is risky here from AV. We've got Wilder circling, throws out the ultimate. It's low, looking for the smite here. Just secure on the Renekton. Miru is dead. Chippy jumps after Wilder. He goes into his Zonya's. Chuck dodges out the Q, but now the Yasuo is popping off. Triple kill comes out, throws out the Q. Chippies gets a kill in return, but the Quadra comes through for Ryoma.
And Dragons are everything for the Bombers right now. Yes, AV win the smite battle, but Bombers walk away with a clean ace over the Avant lineup, and that was in a 4 versus 5. They didn't have numbers advantage, but even without Baron, they're looking to win the game.
Unbelievable fight at Dragon in to win. Kind of just feels like the story of the game, and this time literally so, as Bombers fight after fight after fight after that early game still turn it around and secure their win.
And in such a weird fashion, you think about Bombers and how they've played in multiple weeks. They've come on the couch and been like, yes, this is our style, play through the top side, but early game AV certainly had their number. Things were faltering. Late game Yasuo, mid game Yasuo was enough. Wilder had an absolute blinder this game, I have to think, but relying on the other side of the map, and rocky starts into a pretty dominant victory there. Once they had any sort of advantage, they snowballed that one fairly quickly, and yeah, clean up AV.
Yeah, congratulations to Mammoth right there. You know, that's like a Mammoth game that I just watched there.
Yeah, yeah, the comeback.
Yeah, exactly. You know, tank the early game and come back in team fights. And it really was. It was Dragon into Baron into Dragon into Win. which was crazy. You know, like I felt the early game was so clean actually coming out from Avant. You know, exactly what they wanted. They had lanes winning, but were unable to really close out, and Bombers just kind of won those fights.
And like I'm kind of lost for words in like how those fights happened, because when you think about it, like that was a Gragas cast into the Dragon Pit, hit multiple members, and Roma doesn't press R. Like he waits on it. He goes for the body slam at the end, and you have to think like they were just kind of over so quickly.
Yeah.
Jax with Shojin is incredibly scary on a backline, and the same can be said for the Renekton. But it's not like their carries were weak. Unfortunately for AV, the fights just didn't go their way. Maybe a little bit slower to the play. Ambitious start on that one. And yeah, Bombers just wiped the floor with them.
If I could look at anything again, it would be the first Dragon fight, right? I want to see like exactly what happened with the Jarvan and the Cassiopeia, because it looked like if everyone's hitting the Jarvan, how was the Cassiopeia not killing everybody? Was it just a lack of damage? You know, what was happening? Because the setup was good, but then like, it just kind of fell apart all at once, and that was like a big fight. Like you would expect at least like a 2 for 3 or like a
like you would expect them to be close, right? Like there's so much damage on both of these teams, and like you're just literally like Team A, Team B, and we clap,
Smash
and
them
it's
together.
like what is going to happen? But yeah, like
It's just a hard win.
one death snowballs, and like the team fight goes like 4v5. Oh crap, like 5v1, and it's just over real quick. And yeah, Dragons were right there with the Kryptonite AV there. They had double Infernal. They got two of them, but lost every fight.
Kind of a shocking game in the end, but congratulations to Bombers. For now, we're going to send it over to Nick Boyd with the interview.
Oh,
Thank you.
well done.
Sorry, I messed up our handshake in the corridor.
That's okay. I wasn't going to say anything.
I didn't know if it was like one of these or a fist bump or a handshake.
No,
so
because the thing is, for those of you at home, when we walk from our sort of like viewing room to the studio, we walk past the 2 player rooms, and I never want to give out too much praise to the team because the door is open to the other room, so the team that has just been defeated.
So it's silent praise.
So I walk past and I'm like,
I like to think I'm
and I gave
special.
a little like this, and I'm like, give me some 5, and like run down, and just the entire Bombers team blanked me, and at one point I just grazed my fingers across your knuckles, and I was like, right. So
I like to think that I'm special and I'm the one who gets that, and there's no one else. But that's fine. Nick.
Well, you were at the front, so you were the one that was going for. Like you, but then I was like, okay, so Rogue, I'm dead to him for some reason, and so then I was like, well, let's go to the Luch, and then everyone was just like looked away.
Nah, we're a bit tired. We had a big day of travel. We're done.
I'm so
Another
sorry.
one of those teams.
Yeah. So look, we'll quickly talk about the game, and then we'll focus on the travel. Congratulations, decisive, dominant, defeated the other team.
Yes, defeated the other team.
How do you feel that went?
I think that we're all pretty happy with that one. That's a comp that we know pretty well.
Yep.
And executed on it as well as we could have. And game went bright. I think Coach Lucio will be happy with that one.
And AV is probably like you're trying to catch Mammoth. Mammoth 3 games ahead or 2 games ahead now, I guess. But AV is the team that you're sort of distancing yourself from, and now you've got a 3-point buffer. That feel good, or you feel like it's still not enough?
I mean, we're probably going to finish about 3rd of regular season, so we have to do the gauntlet. We actually look back on it. We have 3 losses against Order. If we hadn't lost those games, we'll be first, which is actually pretty funny. Yeah, actually, they're actually our kryptonite. I don't know. But no, we're all right with where I stand.
Do you start the gauntlet prep now? Do you start preparing yourself for like that climb? You know, we've got Super Week next week, and then gauntlet, and then ideally grand finals for you guys.
I think like us changing rosters so much over the off season, and then Luch swapping roles, it's kind of we needed time to scale as a team. Like first few weeks were a bit shaky, and he was adjusting to his new role. And for weeks it was like, all right, you know, we'll get there eventually. And now it's like getting time to gauntlet. So it's like, okay, now's the time when we actually have to be a good team, and it's starting to come together the last 2 or 3 weeks. So looking promising for gauntlet and maybe grand final.
You're looking at me as though I have something to do with it. I can't secure anything. I'm sorry, and particularly after that failed.
Pull some strings for me, Nick. When buds, right?
Not after what happened in the hallway. You're dead to me. So tell me about your Melbourne trip. What happened with you guys?
Oh, that was a whole thing. So the strategy we went with was regional airlines.
What was your travel comp?
Regional airlines. We caught regional airline to Wagga Wagga. Yeah, so that's like when you say like middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You say Wagga Wagga.
Yeah.
Which is actually about 20 minutes, 30 minutes from where I actually come from in the country.
Where'd you
grow up? Where'd
you grow up?
Goulburn. I felt like a bit of a travel expert on that one because I was like, yeah, this is what grass looks like in the countryside.
Yeah.
And Wilder was like trying to find a kangaroo while we're at a stopover, but these little propeller planes, and we're coming on the Sydney landing and we're bouncing off the runways.
And then you
Juves would not be happy. Juves is not a fight guy, and he would die on that one.
The-
We were all like praying. It wasn't that bad.
those little
It
propeller
wasn't that
planes. I mean, that's what I catch to and
bad.
from.
No,
Armadale.
no one on our
they're
team are
not a fun
wusses
ride.
when it comes to planes, so we were all right.
And then car. How'd you get from Wagga to here?
Oh no, plane to Wagga, plane from Wagga to Sydney.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, interesting. 2 planes.
Well, I guess when you put it
stopover.
like that, not that
The
interesting.
in-flight service was actually amazing. We only had 1 flight attendant because
Yeah.
there's like 20 people on the plane, not
Yeah.
even. But it was pretty good.
Like what? Like good food or
Yeah,
like
like
just like attentive
It
good
was
chat?
do you want a sweet or a savory meal? Oh, I got a choice. Usually don't get a choice.
Meal or snack?
Oh, like a snack.
Yeah,
It was like a little pack of chippies.
Okay.
It's good.
So really, they just gave you a packet of chips.
Or a muesli bar with some chocolate on
Oh,
top.
okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I went for the chips. Good content. Good content, guys. Great work, everyone. It's a bit late at the studio. We're all tired.
Got a ton of damage to take that one down. Gun
Gun
Crab.
Crab jumps over the left up to the pit. 1500 left on Dragon, trying to get into this one. Secured by the Gragas, but goes for the fight.
Ryoma.
Triple. Last breath comes in from the Yasuo and Draku, trading off with Ryoma in the backline, but meanwhile loses an ally in the fray. Ryoma hops the wall, has Yumi on him, jumps back into the fight, and AV chased down here by
Between multiple AV members here. TP comes through.
looking for a potential fight right here in this 1v1, but about to heat up right here. Comes in with the last breath, dodging out of here. Black Drag is good from the Java. Now Mimic under attack comes in with a redemption. Wilder here with a potential disengage. Finds Dragku. Chippies knocked back in this one. Mimic turns around, looking to put a little bit time. Literally so, as Bombers fight after fight after fight after that early game still turn it around and secure their win.
And in such a weird fact.
You gave me this when we were just 16 years old. Darling, cop up.
A little goes a long way at Macca's. Grab 24 Chicken McNuggets for just $9.95 every day.
Do you hold a grudge like that against your partner? Well, not a grudge, but like, do you remember stuff like that?
Against, like with Jenna?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No.
No, we have these conversations all the time, but I feel like I've had stages in my relationship, and as I get older, I just like remove stages. Like I can't remember what happened between the stage of 17 to 22. That was stage 1.
You just like that. All whatever it was, good, bad. It's all just
Exactly right.
It's all gone.
That was like, you know, you play Final Fantasy 7, then you play Final Fantasy 8, and whilst a sequel, not the same game. No same characters.
Yep.
Different stage.
That works.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, when I get older, I would appreciate my partner being like, you know what? It's nugs time.
Let's get some notes.
I got nothing. It's friggin' 10 to 10, guys.
You want to talk about the
What are
game?
we doing here? Do we want to talk about the game? No, we don't want to talk about the game. Not the ideal scenario for AV.
No.
It felt
They lost.
and it felt like Bombers played well, but there were like lots of opportunities for there where AV it was kind of like, oh, what are you doing at this exact moment?
It was a it was a better game by AV compared to recent weeks from
Yep.
them. I think that much is for certain. I also think that like today, a lot of the losing teams actually had a lot of better moments. Like this, I really feel like this is the scariest day of losses that I've seen for everyone
For
in the
all the
middle of
teams
the
who
pack.
lost. Yeah, right.
Because most of the teams that needed to lose did. Like when you look at expected results, Order playing Legacy with a team expecting to win, they did. So the ladder's even closer, and everyone that lost looked good.
Yeah.
And that's just like, what's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's insane.
I completely agree. The one thing the point I will make about this game in particular is I think Avant is very good at thinking about what Avant want to do and setting up for what Avant want to do. But they're very bad at taking into consideration what the enemy team comp will do at that stage of the game. And that Infernal Drake, if you just break it down as a coach, is like the perfect example. Because I think at like 2.5, 3 items on every carry, that's a pretty good team fight to take for AV. But until you have those portions, until your front line's a little bit tanky because you've gone the aggressive items, until you've got life cut on maybe, 2 or 3 people, things like that, and that's a really, really tough team fight to take. And Bombers kind of had that one window, turned around and executed on it really well. And that's what Bombers have become known for, right? And that was an Infernal Dragon that was just going to equal Infernal Drakes. And with the Cassiopeia, with the front line that they had, that was a composition that could very easily turn around, run into Baron vision while they were doing Infernal Drake, not even start the Baron, but just hold the control.
Yeah.
And if you had to face check that lineup with 0 tank, you've got a Vladimir, not a tank. You got a Gragas, full AP Gragas, not a tank. You have to face check Jax, Renekton, and Cassiopeia. You die at that Baron. If you do not check it, they take it at 20 minutes into the game. Yep. So I think that there were like definitely windows for them to play around, and I think that that is the next stage of becoming a great team. Like understanding what your comp needs to do and playing around that. That's step number 1. How I interact with the opponent's comp is like the very important step number 2 in a lot of these team fights. And I think that's kind of back-to-back weeks that Avant have been punished in that area particularly.
I think like the little example that people can use to like really understand what Jake's saying is like one more item for a Jackson or a Renekton is a Sterix gauge, which means that a Vladimir who's meant to 1v9 a team fight with their comp does not one-hit anyone. So they actually get like 3 rotations of spells off with Spear of Shojin. You stay in the fight for an extra 5 seconds, you win the fight.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that is how I would say could have been won.
The rule of thumb when you play Karma support is if you get 2 empowered E's off, you win the fight. If she has enough time to like auto attack people and get the second E off, that's generally the chasing E, you've run over the top of a team fight. And you know, with Asterix, with empowered Karma E, probably having a couple more points because it's very poke heavy lane, I assume 4 points Q in a lane like that. You know, so he's only like level at 10 at most in that team fight. You know, level 13 Karma probably turns that team fight, in my opinion. So, you know, obviously take it with a grain of salt. My team's currently coming 6th, so not in the gauntlet. So not going to teach other people how to play the game. But yeah, that's just what I look at when I look at a young team like AV.
Also, Yumi's very powerful.
Yumi's disgusting. I hate that champ. Like, actually, people complain about Zoe on release, and this stupid cat is just flying under the radar because people can't see her on Summoner's Rift. Like, she's actually obnoxious. She's broken. She warps game state. Everything you do not like in a new champion that like people complain about, like Zoe was, like introducing new mechanics, warping game state, like feeling like you're powerless to stop something. Like, it's just Yumi summed up. Cassiopeia versus Vladimir is like a 50 CS lead for Cassiopeia at 100 CS. And Yumi somehow like equalized the lane. It was equal farm at 80. Like, that's just...
It's not okay.
That's
man.
not okay.
It's not okay.
Like, that's dumb.
That is such a good point that it's flying under the radar because she's kind of just always attached.
Well,
to
not for us. We ban
her
her every game.
Yeah, but like you don't just see this like buff champ sort of walk away from a fight being like, "Hey, I just dominated."
The best example I have is when Quinn dashed into order, Raze dashed into order, and picked up the pentakill. Everyone was like, "Wow, he 1v5'd." No one even looked at, like, Ayla was on his head as Yubi, like, ulting people, giving him adaptive damage, healing him, giving him all this stuff. It's like, nah, Quinn just 1v5. Like, I was, like, sitting there, like, there's a cat on him.
Guys, there's a cat on him. There was a cat on a lot of people today. Some of those people played League of Legends. Let's take a look at the games they played in, and the results they got. Chiefs versus Direwolves. Chiefs takeout game number 1. Gravitas versus Mammoth. Mammoth, after a long, long day, managed to take down Gravitas. Legacy could not stand up to order for game number 3, and Bombers take down Avant for game 4. A look ahead to tomorrow's schedule. Chiefs versus Avant. Wow, that is, the big games just keep coming for Avant this weekend. Direwolves take on Mammoth for game 2. Gravitas and Order game number 3. And finally, Bombers and Legacy for game 4.
And it's not just AV's got a big week as well, right? Direwolves, they have to go up against Mammoth. They played Chiefs today as well. Like,
that's a big week.
Not easy for some of these teams.
Totally.
That's the thing, middle of the pack, right? Like, AV, in their first 2 games of round 3 of the round robin, played Gravitas and Legacy.
Yeah.
So then you look at the rest of the weeks, you're like, well, every game's hard, must-win game. It's just the way it is.
And it's hard because you've got the teams above you who you're trying to catch up to and who are, you know, according to the ladder, playing better than you. And then you got the teams below you who are like nipping at your heels, trying to take your spot. It's not a comfortable place to be.
And I feel like I've said this about a couple of teams, but roster instability, I feel like, has really played a huge role in the OPL. Rogue mentioned it with having to bring Luch into the lineup. Obviously, Legacy now hit by it. Like, that's not their best performance, and I'm sure they will play better with Appy in the future. Obviously, Avant go through their big change as well. So, and I mean, you guys had the change at the start of the season where you dropped a game with a sub roster and probably would have liked to have win that one. So, I think across the board, like, this is a really unforgiving season. Like, in best of 1 format, normally when you play 21 games, a win here or there doesn't really make all that much difference. But as Rogue said, they win those 3 games versus Order.
They're first.
They're first. If Order lost those 3 games versus Bombers going into today, they're 2 wins. Like, it's just insane, like, when you think about how the season's actually gone. It's been a crazy season.
Absolutely. Well, there is more of it coming tomorrow, so please make sure you come along. None of this would be possible without the support of our lovely sponsors. First up, of course, McDonald's, the official partner of the OPL. Next, we have HyperX, the official headset of the OPL, and finally M-Wave, the official retailer of the OPL. I got those two mixed up because I'm not actually looking at the rundown on here.
Are we at 4 tomorrow?
I assume we're at 4 tomorrow. I assume everything goes back to normal tomorrow, that we just have 4 o'clock, normal games, some MPL to round out the evening.
This was a blip on the radar. It was like it never happened.
You said upstairs tomorrow, the airport, looking a bit rough for you guys getting home.
Yeah, thanks, mate, for bringing that up. I got a text message from the old Qantas, who I'm flying tomorrow, saying, don't expect your plane to go anywhere. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe I get to play a full round of MPL.
Maybe you get a bag of chips on a flight to Wagga. We could be so lucky. There is no MPL tonight because we had it this afternoon before the broadcast. We'll be back to our normal schedule tomorrow. We hope to see you guys then. Till then, we're out.